How do you do what you do? How do you get such detailed information?
Okay, so in terms of research, a lot of times it's really hard to explain. As I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty intuition guided with stuff. A lot of times, the key points of stories I will just sort of stumble across. Looking for other things, and then I start looking into those, and the pieces just sort of pop up. I sort of have this feeling a lot of times that the universe, or whatever you want to call it, wants a particular story to come out, and it sort of leads me there, and then I find the rest, and there it is, and I have an article come out. It just kind of tends to be that way. But it's possible that I do happen to look through different databases maybe that haven't been, aren't necessarily used by most people. I use Wayback Machine, for example, the archive.org, pretty heavily. There's a search bar in there where you can get a bunch of old books to come up. That was really useful for my Epstein series. Google Books, even just searching for excerpts in there, you can find books that if they have enough interesting information, you can buy them in print, use them there. A lot of different resources exist online. In the case of Epstein, I was able just once though, through a really friendly university professor that had followed my work for years, I asked him to do a search for Jeffrey Epstein and the term property developer, because I noticed that some of the earlier articles in the 90s about Epstein that had been scrubbed didn't refer to him as a billionaire or a hedge fund guy. They called him a property developer. So I thought I might be able to find some more articles that had been scrubbed that way on this LexisNexis database, which is very expensive. I can't afford it, but his university had access through it. So I was able to get, the results from that one search, and found numerous articles that were very illuminating, from the 90s and early 2000s that had been scrubbed. So for someone that would have full-time access to those databases, wow, I can only imagine what I could do with that. But, I generally just use the regular internet. One of the reasons it may work better for me than some people is because I don't use Google search. I sometimes I do, but I always rely on a different start engine first. I recommend DuckDuckGo or Startpage. Google has long enduring ties with the national security state of the United States from its inception, funding from the CIA's NQTEL, very cozy ties with the military at Stanford, and through their existence have been very cozy with the national security state. More recently, this has been really obvious with Eric Schmidt, the former Google head, heading the National Security Commission on AI, making the national security state's entire artificial intelligence policy, presumably for the next several decades. It's being written by a Google guy. That tells you how interconnected they are and have become. So don't recommend using them for search.